coming up on this episode of Free Lunch.
But a lot of times when you're working with creatives, they're in the building for a different reason. They're in the building to gauge the competition.
He said they're in the building for a different reason.
They're in the building to gauge the competition. Like, yo, what has such and such been up to? Because I don't let everybody speak into my life. Let me just say that.
Is the inner circle really just the evolution of the in crowd that you maybe kept or entertained in school and high school, and then you guys grew up, you just started calling yourself one another's inner circle?
It's almost kind of fake when you think about it. Like, I was the same guy. I was the same guy.
The price went up now.
Right, the price went up now. You asked best.
Okay, all right. Scratch that. I'm starting over. Such a jerk. What's up? This your boy Freestyle Gospel, a.k.a. The Real Free. And this is another piece off the spoken word album, Free Speech Volume 1, available now at therealfree.com. Brought you into the light, way up out of that despair. I can't walk in your shoes if I don't know despair. See, I am joint heirs with Christ. Call me royalty. Evil temptation is trying to dethrone me. You're going to have to use a deep voice. Speak loudly. They won't flee if you are quietly rebuking. Look, I got Christ and some Latin in me. Es necesario que tú te quedes aquí. Only one can judge me. El último papi. Yes, it is necessary that you stay right here. Involuntary tongues anoint your lungs right here. Just skipping through the shadows of death with no fear. I got mind control over Debo. He be like, Free, shut up, and I still preach though. Used to carry the sword, now I wield the Bible. Infiltrate your hood like a ninja. Tint you, cut right to the heart of man, saving my rivals. God won't smite you, but he will slay that ego. Your head'll be sore, but now you'll soar like an ego. Cleansed to the core because you saw he was regal. Like Ken and Rod, you hit you with spiritual Hadoukens. Spit fire like a street fighter, you could call me Dazzling. Reppin' the brotherhood, don't bring the hood out this brethren. Haters will knuckle up, so you gotta buckle down. I got an issue of blood, I'm pushing through the crowd. Watch my walk and talk until I rep the crown. I can preach in Timberland till these loafers are button downs. I'm like the dopest witness, how I get around. My body's a temple taped off, go around. Whether ready or not, Armageddon is going down. I'm from the block, the fellas know me, so they give me pound. Fisher or men, I lure them in just like a fisher. Mouth wide open and all, that's how I baked ya. Never did you think you'd be head bopping to a scripture. If it is a man of God you want to catch a glimpse of, well, hurry up, I'm out of time. Take my picture. Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Freestyle Gospel, a.k.a. The Real Free. Another episode of Free Lunch. And I got my, I don't know, I guess you could call him like the resident co-host. I mean, when I could smuggle him in here and convince him to get here. My man, Ro Miller in the building.
What's going on, people? I'm here, man.
Got him here.
In the building.
So if y'all remember, anybody who's heard the first episode of Free Lunch when we launched at the top of the pandemic, my man Ro was in the building. And we talked about prerequisites to inner circles. Actually, I would advise you, if you've got the time, go back to season 1 and catch that episode. It was actually a really, really dope episode. But fast forward now, I had a recent post. Our guest, Tanisha Dawson, the great, came through. And even though our episode that day wasn't about inner circles or anything really to do with that specifically, we touched and grazed on it briefly. But someone made a comment on my social media post about, should we as, should we as people, it really wasn't from a particular, spiritual or any like religious, direction, but should we even have inner circles? What are inner circles? Because now that I think back, we didn't even like talk about when we did our episode, like a foundation of what, like agree on definitions.
I think we assumed that everybody just kind of an understanding of what
what an inner circle is. Right. So we kind of made some assumptions in that first time when we talked about it. But from this, at this point, we want to kind of just talk about, just that idea. Someone posed the question on social media, and it's worth, thinking about their perspective that they shared. I won't mention their name, was interesting, to say the least. Should we even have inner circles? They could, I guess, be exclusionary. And, thinking with the kind of the way society is going now with this very inclusive idea, I could see how it rubs people the wrong way. It's not probably social, emotionally correct. You know what I mean? You know, you have those buzzwords that are going around now.
yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of like the us and them, maybe the cool people. I can see them kind of running on those lines to try to make that
Yeah.
argument. I can see that argument, right? So before, you know, I unleash my man's Ro, because he's such a guy. Listen, which is why I really tread lightly when I bring any certain topics with him in, because he's not only, you know how it is when you have like a discussion with any of your friends who's actually intelligent, like not like your friends who like just think they know a lot, but with the friend who actually knows a lot. Those conversations could be a bit sticky, but I enjoy it nonetheless because I just enjoy robust conversation. But anyways, I digress. So on this episode, we're gonna chop it up a little bit about just that. You know, first just defining what is inner circles. Are they even appropriate? Are they good? Do the benefits of inner circles outweigh any potential or perceived negatives? And then for my other artists, creators out there, my man Ro, he happens to be a phenomenal producer. He's in the creative space. Myself, you know, I'm a poet, rapper, author, actor. I'm a super creative myself, but I'm also a Christian, and I also live in Connecticut. I'm a Christian in Connecticut, and I don't know if you're listening to. We have our listeners come from all over the world who come across this podcast. I don't know what state you might be from. I don't know what country you might be from. Maybe you might experience the same thing as just a secular creative, or particularly like myself, kind of feel this this phenomenon as trying to be an independent Christian artist from Connecticut. Why? Just Connecticut is just not really doesn't seem to be receptive
Not conducive
to the Christian artist.
for creative
Why
acceleration.
you will not blow up being a Christian artist in Connecticut. So let's start from the top. What is even an inner circle? Is this really just like a more, doctored up term to really just mean at the end of the day, like your popular clique of people? You know, like is the inner circle really just the evolution of the in crowd that you maybe kept or entertained in school and high school, and then you guys grew up, you just started calling yourself one another's inner circle, you know, so it could be more socially palatable, you know. Is your inner circle, does that just mean like that's the like cool people in your sphere and you're really not
And that's
open to
important.
let anyone else in because they're not cool? Or
That's important because your definition dictates the way you feel about what an inner circle is. So I can see.
so the inner circle is a relative term
It's
for
very
each
relative for each
individual person.
individual. That's why I mean the conversation we would have to define what an inner circle is, and then also make up a definition that we think the person that posed the question might have had when they posed it.
I didn't even think of that part.
That way we can
Okay.
address it directly, because there are definitions of inner circle that I can think of that I don't think anyone will disagree to. Like if I said your inner circle is your parents who will give you advice since birth, you're not then going to dispute, that inner circle is probably not a good idea. I'm like, no, that's your parents. That's your inner circle. You're going to say, yeah, I love getting advice from my parents, and they're the one that raised me, so their opinion I value the most.
Yeah.
But if your inner circle is your high school friends and your college friends, and they've been kind of unstable or up and down in their thinking or behavior or whatever, you might say no, because inner circle is a bad idea, because then I'm getting advice from people who are not stable themselves.
And I'm getting advice from really not vetted individuals. They're just cool. I like
It's
how
just
they're
cool, right.
I like their Coach bag,
Yeah,
or their Jordans. Well, I think it's one thing that we could say. The more healthy definition of the inner circle could definitely include some of the cool guy elements, right. But that alone isn't definition. It's not part of my definition about when I'm going through my day-to-day life, crossing paths with people in my community, whether it's my, home, work, church, whatever your local communities are that you cross path into. I'm not assessing that particular thing. For me, and we talked about this last time, the inner circle for me defined is the people I both trust and rely on the most. So, and I don't think necessarily in my definition, I include family. Because for me, that's another quote unquote circle, it all in and of its own. Your family. This is my inner circle. My inner circle is simply friends who maybe are family, who I've adopted as my family, right? If you're my family, we're like close family. You just call, you're my family. That's my family. That's my real family.
For sure.
All right. So for me, inner circle is kind of, as a definition, a working definition, is kind of excludes family members. Okay. So then it's just defined as the people who are not family, by blood somehow, who I trust and rely on the most. Is that, for the sake of this conversation, would that be a working definition for you? Except maybe the family part. Maybe you include family in it, but
well, I would go. So just to give context, I'll say what I think mine is. But for the sake of the conversation, we'll probably toggle between some different definitions. But as far as my definition, it's just anyone that has the ability to speak into my life, advice, influence, whatever it is. They have the ability to speak something into my life, and I'll actually value that advice. So if they tell me,
that alone,
"Hey,"
that's the definition.
Yeah, that if they
so that doesn't include the things I just named. Trust and rely on.
Yes, well, if you're taking the advice, you trust them, right? It makes sense. If somebody tells you, "Hey, I think you should,"
I don't think that's like automatic. Just because I took the advice, I trust.
You trust the advice, not the person.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. When I say the people I trust the most and rely on most, I'm using trust as a general term. Like, I trust you in all aspects of the word trust.
Yeah.
So I trust you in a physical, literal sense, and I trust your advice.
Yeah, so I don't make it specific, because
it sounds like you're making it specific.
No, when I say, because I can, so there are people in my inner circle who I may not know them personally to like know their family, their background, but if I need help if I need prayer, I need advice, that's my guy.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm saying I trust what they say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we can go with that.
You know what I'm saying? And so if they have influence in your life,
and they could speak,
directly to your life,
that's your inner circle.
That's part of your circle. That's in your circle.
See, then I think it becomes difficult to now even approach an argument or a debate or a conversation at all about if inner circle is good. Because
my point. That's my point.
Because then you're like, hey, I mean, just having someone that can speak into,
because I don't let everybody speak into my life. So let me just say that, right? I don't just be taking advice from everybody.
Obviously.
So there's a in the back of my mind a few people that I could think of. They told me or spoke over me right now. If I went to them, that advice is going to mean a lot to me.
So what's your definition then? That's just like a female being able to say now then, well, Sarah Jakes Roberts is part of my inner circle. She's able to speak into my life.
That is a great point.
But I would argue that
is a great point.
Sarah, you don't know
that is a great point.
Sarah. Like you could, how immediately could you reach out to Sarah in a time of advice?
So let's add this component then. It has to be reciprocal. So there has to be some type of back and forth. There has to be community. You can't just be like, oh, a random person on
accessibility.
Right.
I be able to access you in the time of need.
Right. It ain't just like listening to a random person.
Let me go find your latest YouTube.
So that's a great addition, right? Because somebody could interpret that as, oh, well, I listen to this.
So that's my inner circle.
Right.
TD Jakes is
right.
He's the chairman of my inner circle.
Yeah, right. It works both ways, right? So that person. Yes. You can speak to that person, and then you could also speak into the other person, vice versa.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I think I want to adopt your portion of the definition into my inner circle. But that's what's dope about communicating these things, right?
Yeah.
Not just in like just friendships, like me and yours, but
Right.
relationships even, like, right? Like when couples debate or get ensnared in like a thing, and like you realize in more cases than not, it's unfortunate, but this happens many arguments later down the road or years later.
Yeah.
You realize at some point, wow, we didn't even have the same working definition.
Right. No, that's a fact.
Like,
that's like counseling. Like my wife. So those people that know, my wife is a therapist, and she says that all the time. Before she would take on a client, they have to go down this list of definitions. So when you say anxiety, is this what you mean? When you say depression, I just want to make sure you're saying that it means this. So that, because you can't address those issues unless you understand what they mean to the person.
What are you talking about?
Right.
So, all right, for the individual that might, and because we don't have a person who necessarily is here in the room with us, who has a strong argument or able to defend their stance of, hey, you guys really shouldn't be having inner circles. Inner circles are unhealthy. We could simply, take some shots or guesses at, what could be perceived as drawbacks. Even if we personally don't believe there's drawbacks.
Right.
But what could be drawbacks in like how you walk out those inner circle relationships.
Right.
For me, if I'm honest, I could say, whereas a person outside my inner circle might actually really be a reliable and trustworthy source who is even very capable of great insight and wisdom, but because I don't have them in my inner circle, or because I'm one of those people who say, hey, like no new friends, right? I don't want to even entertain the idea of bringing someone new, right? There has been times where the people in my inner circle aren't available. And I've had like kind of a rough patch moment, or whether it was like a physical, literal thing I needed help with, or just an emotional space where like, dang, because I kept my circle so small, I actually like had to really struggle through this particular navigating this thing in my life. So I could respect it for that, right? Because not having at least a even semi open like running mindset to graft in new people into that inner circle can be limiting in that. Case in point, me who's been people who've been following me, I've had several like surgeries recently, and I wanted to before the Christmas holiday came, my wife and I, we were expecting both of our mothers, and our front hall in our apartment where we live, like the tile is like horrible. And so I wanted to change the tile. So I like reached out to a few people, not Rojan guys. He's off the hook on this one. But
I'll do tile, but
caveat, he probably would have not been available also. But I needed somebody to really just come literally for like a day or 2 days and just spend like a couple hours just on their hands and knees doing the tile, most of the work for me. I was able to help because I had one good arm. I was able to help like pass the tile pieces and do the cutting, like, right? But so what ultimately ended up happening, like I didn't have like my go-to individuals not available. They weren't available. And I ended up just having my daughter. She was great. God bless her soul. My 12-year-old did a phenomenal job, bro, over 2 days.
That's what's up.
Just following very acute, specific directions.
Right.
Shout out to the kids that follow excellent directions.
Shout out to the kids, man.
She did that floor.
Got to be in the inner circle. They in my inner circle. I don't know about y'all.
So shout out to her. So that's where I could see the argument for, there has some potential of vulnerability. I'll call it a vulnerability. I won't call it a negative. It is a vulnerability though. What say you? I'm
gonna speak directly to what I think the person who said that should we even have inner circles, and I think the question is coming from a place of the level of influence, right, of this inner circle, and also the limitations of an inner circle. So the level of influence meaning good or bad, if the inner circle is doing it or saying to do it or whatever, you're just like no holds bar. That's what the inner circle is talking about.
Let's just be more specific to just namely a person in the inner circle. Yeah. Right? This is not like the board of inner circle members, right?
Yeah, it could be. It could be because sometimes inner circles are tight-knit, right? Everybody's cool, everybody knows each other, and the consensus on any particular thing is like,
you might be polling the whole group.
Yeah, you might be polling the whole group, and the group is saying da-da-da-da, and you didn't consider anything outside of that opinion. You were like, That's what the group said. That's what I'm doing. And so the extreme of that, right? I'm giving extremes.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that is the limitations of the group, right? So that you're not seeking advice out of your inner circle, because sometimes for a particular matter, issue, circumstance, whatever it is,
the inner circle committee don't got a clue.
right? The inner circle just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your moms just
Now what?
Your moms don't know how to do taxes.
Now what?
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's like, and then we victimize ourselves. Well, you guys didn't tell me, and I don't know, and the people around me are not, and now you're a victim.
Try to come to y'all, but none of y'all was a victim.
Right, or a situation where just time, right? You needed your circle to have time for you, and for whatever reason, time wasn't there, and then here you are as a victim. You're like, oh, I can't believe my inner circle didn't have time for me.
Let me hang it.
So those extremes will make someone say, chill with the inner circle, open up yourselves to the best resources that you can possibly find. Go to where you can find help.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I need my inner circle. Go to where you can find help. So I can see that someone saying, nah, the inner circle is limiting. I don't want to do the inner circle.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like those. It reminds me of those job postings you see where it says like, what's the terminology used when it's like a rolling hiring position? Like it's not like how a position could have an expiration date, but then it uses another phrase to show you that they're always accepting applications for this role. So it's like almost like inner circles. Maybe they should have that.
Yeah.
like there's not a specific opening.
Like you're in it now, but you're on a 30-day.
No, like we're not
30-day trial.
We're not vigorously looking for new applicants, but we take a running list.
We'll take an application. They're not hiring, but we'll take an application. So I can see someone getting caught up in that. But again, back to the definition that me and you agreed to, it's not so much limiting as to this particular group. I don't want to get to a point where you feel like, 2, 3, 4 people weren't able to help you to that degree. It doesn't mean that they're not in, it doesn't mean they get pushed out of like, don't set expectations for your inner circle. That's not realistic either. You know what I mean? Like,
could it be, because the more I like kind of meditate and like chew on this thing you said a moment ago about like reciprocity. Mm-hmm. That's really like dope, because I think that might even more narrow my inner circle in some ways, and then maybe actually expand it out to some other people maybe. But because like I'll tell you the question that popped in my head, and then you can tell me how you feel about this. What could I have a best friend that's not considered like in my inner circle?
I think it's virtually impossible.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because
it's not your best friend if it's not.
No. Okay, so let me.
It's a close friend.
So here's what I'm thinking.
That's your best friend. It's your close friend. If he's not in your circle.
But see now,
a best friend can't. There's no way.
You're playing semantics. Then I think.
No, I'm just saying.
People would say that's what a close friend is. It's a best friend. Like, that's why people have multiple best friends.
I say close friends because you know them for a long time.
Okay,
but your best friend.
Do you only have one best friend?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
Then they're just close friends.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you're gonna put the best on there, they got to be in your circle. You're not gonna. The relationship is just too tight for you not to have them in your circle.
All right. But then, how are you a close friend? Why are you not just a regular friend then?
I say close friend. Friends have levels.
We have a spectrum. You're a good friend.
Yeah, friends have levels. I'm sorry. Friends have levels, bro.
So could the inner circle definition just not translate to the same like parallel?
No, it doesn't have to. You ask about a specific kind of friend, but it doesn't have to. You just ask about a best friend. So I'm answering for best friend. Your inner circle could be a close friend. It could be
okay.
It could be a distant friend.
Is it safe to say that every person who's in your inner circle is a version of friend?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They might not be the best friend.
But you ask best.
Okay, all right. Scratch that. I'm starting over. Such a jerk. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm starting over. He's an idiot. I can't stand him.
Best friend. I'm like, how do you have a best friend that's not in your circle?
Okay. Because they have great advice, maybe. Duh.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. But I'm just saying, like, they can't not be in your circle.
So all the people in your inner circle are
They're not all my best friends. No.
okay. Are all the people in your inner circle at least close friends? At minimum.
No.
Okay. Are all the people in your inner circle at least good friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nobody that's not a good friend.
And we're not going to spend another 30 minutes now defining the word
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Because that's going to
They're all good friends.
That's going to be the
Because
next.
that speaks to the community and the fact that the relationship, right? There's got to be a level of relationship.
Okay. I love using scratch friend, scratch all that, relationship.
Relationship, yeah.
There has to be
Yeah,
relationship.
there got to be relationship.
Okay. You have to have relationship, which is why we ruled out the whole women trying to claim Sarah Jakes Roberts as an inner circle.
Yeah, that's
Where's the relationship?
You say all you want,
one-sided.
but that's your best friend.
Sarah probably doesn't know your name.
Correct.
That's
You don't have a relationship with
that's not okay. Mike Todd probably doesn't know
Not at all.
who you are, where
know
you
who you
live. Yeah. Okay. So I like that. As a working definition, ladies and gentlemen, the inner circle should be defined as simply an individual or individuals, plural, that you, i.e., in the words of myself, trust and rely on, or trust and at least rely on for the reciprocated process of garnering insight, wisdom, people who could speak into your life, people who are positioned to even receive
Influence.
you speak into their life. Mutual reciprocated influence. Ooh.
Yeah, that's it.
Influence. I like that.
That's it. That's it.
With that working definition, ladies and gentlemen, we, the board members, Rojan and Frii, have decided inner circles are good. Inner circles are healthy.
Need them, man.
Like anything good and healthy, though, I think they can be perverted.
Correct.
And that's what happens in our society.
Mm-hmm.
We have good things that are fundamentally or inherently, they're good. They work for our good or can. But because we have imperfect human beings, things become perverted. You have people who maybe were part of your inner circle who then they stop the reciprocated thing and they become leeches. They become the people who drain and are always pulling from you, but they're not the individuals that you can maybe pull from, i.e., like we said, trust or rely for you to be able to do the same. So relationship, mutual reciprocated relationship and influence.
Yep.
Like my man said.
Mutual is a huge part, and I'm thinking about it because you can have people that you repeatedly go to for advice.
And advice is repeatedly trash?
No, but you can't do it.
I thought that's where he was going
you
with that.
can't. No, but you can't. On the flip side of that, speak to
Or
them.
ever give them advice.
Right.
They're real like Bucky.
Yeah. It's like
You're like, yeah, whatever, man. All right, bro.
it's like there's people you could talk to, but then they can talk to you. But as soon as you be like, you know what, this is what I think. Well, I don't need your advice.
But see, when it comes to ladies, I don't think ladies have that struggle, particularly that phenomenon as much as we do as men.
Yeah, men got that more.
Because men, we have we got to get around the ego.
Yeah, exactly.
Part, right? Like you're lucky amongst your relationship of men to even have a man that can entertain you even speaking,
Right.
Let alone them actually receive it and go,
Right.
that was dope, appreciate that. Like there's been some people that, of course, since then are now no longer part of my inner circle, are individuals that the minute you go to even open your mouth about, advice or speaking to anything that they might be doing publicly or that you get wind of or saw or doing in your company, whatever, they're not in the headspace to be willing to entertain or hear anything other than what they've convinced themselves of or what they think. And I use you a lot with other people. Like, your ears have to constantly be itching at many times. But I talk about you a lot for the reason I just mentioned earlier in the conversation. Rojan is one of those intimidating, potentially, he has the potential to be an intimidating friend of mine. Only because because he's actually intelligent, but not only objectively intelligent, I also believe it. Like, it's not like he's intelligent, but, you know, I don't think so. No, I actually believe and look at him as a intelligent person. So people like that could, for individuals like me, like the friends of people like of Ro, right? We can, if we let it, we can let it intimidate us to the point that, you know what, I never bring anything to him because of that. But then there's the other part where, yeah, there's a slew of things that conversations me and Ro have had that we don't agree on. But the beauty of those relationships, and I'm speaking to the men specifically here who like might struggle kind of getting around your ego part, is that one, I'm confident in myself in whatever I decide, right? I'm married, I have a home, a family that I'm responsible for, just like Ro. If I bring something or he gets wind of something I'm doing or a decision I'm gonna make and he totally disagrees, as a member of my inner circle, I don't have this fear, and he doesn't have the fear that goes, if I say this or speak directly to this, and Frii doesn't really want to do what I just told him to do, he's gonna do it anyway, and then now I'm gonna feel bad because he just didn't feel confident in himself to just say no, I don't want to do it. Like he knows when we debate or discuss, like if I just I think differently, I'm gonna just be like, hey, agree to disagree. I'm good.
Right.
So he feels that much more as my friend, empowered and free to just speak candidly. He doesn't have to worry about navigating my feelings or navigating my ego. Like, nah, now Frii gonna be pissed off. I ain't gonna hear from him for weeks. There's people like that.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be careful of the expectations that you set on your friends. That's not even talking. I'm like, that goes.
That's a broad, just friends.
It's a broad, just friends,
period.
Relationship period. Like, you gotta be careful of the expectations you set, because if you set certain expectations or it's too high that they can't meet, everything's gonna be a disappointment, right? Every friend is all of a sudden gonna be, oh, I thought you was my friend. You know, how many times have you heard that statement? Oh, I thought you was my boy. You know what I'm saying?
But when do you hear that? When's the moment you hear that though? You hear that, for me, you hear that most of the time when you simply disagree.
Right.
You came to me because you wanted me to help you do this, or you wanted to, I heard your idea and you wanted me to be like, yo, that's fire. And I had a different opinion. And now it's, bro, see, man, I thought you was my boy, bro. Like, I thought, what are you saying? I am your boy.
Right. So you have to be prepared to keep it real, man. I have a circle that's authentic. You know, it's just not, It's not a bunch of people in there that's just like
another
saying anything and telling you whatever you want to hear. And if you feel like if you have a group of yes men around you and that's what your inner circle is,
your inner circle's
you know what I'm saying? You gotta check that inner circle, because you don't really have an inner circle. You just got some yes men around you, and sometimes that's who's around us, and that's also a knock on inner circle. That's why people say, like, I don't rock with inner circles, because most people, when they build an inner circle, is just a bunch of yes people that's around them, not really telling them what's up. And you just, you know what I'm saying? So
don't do that.
Be careful of the people that you keep around you, the circle that you keep. This is not new advice. You guys know, everyone that's listening to this podcast, you know, the influence and the people that you're around is valuable.
Facts.
Hey, yo, if you enjoying this content, if you feel like you're actually getting something from it, be sure to follow Frii Lunch everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Frii Lunch. That's FRII Lunch. And be sure to subscribe. Follow us everywhere podcast streaming is available: Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It doesn't matter. We here. It's Frii Lunch with the real Frii.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, we got to definitely add in the definition. And while you're trying to assess your inner circle, definition has to include authentic. You got to be authentic. If your inner circles, it's a bunch of yes people. I can't tell you. I sometimes when I get a new idea or whatever pitch from my man Ro, sometimes I actually like look forward to an opportunity to be like, nah, bro, that's trash. Just because I want to remind him I'm that authentic dude, bro. Like, don't get it messed up. Don't get it twisted.
Oh no, Frii will definitely tell me, like, I mean, if you like it, but I want to.
That's what you want to do.
That's what you want to do, but I ain't really going.
Speaking of which, yo, definitely repping one of his latest new merch, the Bear Witness hoodie. You guys have seen it in a few of my recent maybe posts, me rocking it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the love, man.
Yo, he's got a few of his inner circle people, yo, like in his sphere that he's like, sending design ideas to. And I I had to shoot down a few of his joints, bro. Like, yo, you might do that, bro, but that's trash.
But
bro.
watch this. So, by the way, when I first designed this concept and I sent it to that group of friends, about 2 of them, including Frii, was like, nah, that ain't really it.
Yeah.
The first version of that.
Yeah.
So what did that help me to do? I went back to the drawing table. I didn't get salty. I wasn't like, nah, y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
I thought y'all supported me.
I was like, I thought you was my boy. So I didn't do any of that. You know, so it's just like, okay. Went back to the drawing table, tweaked it a little bit, redesigned it, and the ultimate product now, this is one of my most viral designs on my website. All right, risapparelstore.com. And it's one of the most viral. So again, just that's from having a circle that's not just a bunch of yes people just rocking with anything, but giving feedback, honest feedback. This is what I think. And then taking that humbly and saying, all right, let me come back. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple designs. He was like, yo, tweak the font a little bit, do this a little different. Yeah. Went back, all right, boom, let me do. And now we got a product that I'm proud of, and my friends that are around me are proud of as well.
Yeah. Facts, be authentic.
You know what I'm saying?
Speaking to the Sphere's friends, he's got I mean, I could assume, but I think would you say most of your friends are other creatives?
Yeah.
That's just
for sure.
Yeah,
not all, but for sure. Like
most
80% of them are creatives.
Are creatives. So to that fact, you got most, maybe another 80% are from Connecticut.
Yeah.
Would you say that? Okay, so Ro being the producer that he is, he comes across his fair share of the indie artists, up and coming, desirable Connecticut artists, specifically the Christian artists out there. Christian rapper myself.
There's not too many Christian creatives artists that I would say I don't know.
Yeah,
in Connecticut.
As far
I'll tell you how far it goes. Right, so in New York, right?
Yeah.
The Christian creatives out there, they consider me like the Connecticut ambassador, which I don't know how I got that title. And part of the reason
gatekeeper.
And part of the reason why it's like that too, because I speak about guys in rooms without them even knowing I'm speaking about them. Okay. I'm in rooms with other creatives saying, hey, I know this Connecticut artist, I know this Connecticut poet, I know this. Fire. And so over time, guys is like, yo, if you want to know what's going on in Connecticut on the CHH level, on the Christian side, hit up Ro.
He's the Morpheus of CHH.
So I say that to say, like, I've seen all of the types of artists, all of the types of creatives. And so when we talk about being a creative in Connecticut, like, because someone's going to hear this and say, well, they haven't done this. And I'm like, I promise you, I've seen it. You know what I mean? So,
but to our next topic that I want us to get into, as me being myself a Connecticut Christian artist, particularly, but you find that you have the really difficult job in and of itself as an independent artist of trying to establish a platform, trying to get your stuff out there, get your name out there, develop, garner support of your local area, all of that, this and that. And you've seen also come through your studio in your time of being creative, other secular artists.
Yeah.
You watch those secular artists, maybe start off as independent artists or, in their infancy and then, go on to do maybe great things or whatever.
For sure.
So you are an individual that has an experience of seeing the journeys, whether fully walked out or the journeys cut in half, stopped from secular artists, Christian artists. Bro, why is the specifically to Connecticut region, the seemingly curse and hex on Connecticut, why in Connecticut is the Christian artist struggling to just, I don't know, struggling to
traction, man.
Struggling to get traction, struggling to get the support. And you would think because, people on the outside looking in, maybe at, the Christian sphere, could, almost, I think for a good reason, look at the Christianity umbrella as, a club and think you actually should be getting a ton of
Correct.
support and steam behind you or whatever. Like, hey, the minute you lay this label on you,
Right.
you're part of like this, fraternity or like, you know what I mean? Or whatever. So I think that's worth kind of exploring, one, because I'm a Connecticut, Christian artist, and my journey over the last 12 years, wow, that sounds crazy even like saying that, and then like looking at like, wow, I would have never thought after this many years, hey, I'd still be at this point. Because it's not, and there's the like very like, big critic who would say, it's because, you trash, or maybe because you're not it. Like, but no, we have actually a ton of Connecticut Christian artists that are amazing. Like talent is not the issue. So then what for the Christian creative, the Christian artists in Connecticut, because we've seen this successful for Christian artists in other states, other parts of the world, whatever.
Yeah.
What is Connecticut's problem?
Man.
It's a jam-packed question, of course.
Jam-packed, bro.
It's a jam-packed question.
I don't even know if we have enough time
for
to touch on all of the different
facets. And mind you,
of
I've actually
this.
had into the studio just recently a secular Connecticut artist who are saying the same thing. So the more I think about it and discuss it with other people, it might really just be a Connecticut thing. And, it might just be because we're experiencing it in the bubble of Christianity, maybe.
Yeah. That's
what we think. And like the secular Connecticut artists, like, yeah, nah, bro. Like, yo, we struggle. All of us out here struggling to,
The one thing that's coming in my mind, because I got a plethora of reasons from just conversations with artists and stuff that I've experienced myself. But this is the thing that just came to my mind, because I'm trying to think, like, what do I think is one of the biggest reasons, right? There seems to be like this hero syndrome in Connecticut.
Yo, that's crazy. Yeah. I've never thought of that, but that makes perfect sense.
There seems to be this like...
The Captain Save Connecticut.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be the guy. Like, I'm going to be the one...
That's it.
To put Connecticut on the map. And so as a result, I can't get behind any other camp but my own.
That's crazy.
We're small enough for me to think that way. The reason why people in Atlanta don't think that way, because Atlanta is huge. There's too many. So you know what? Let me camp up. Let me support my brothers, because maybe they can help me get to where I need to go.
Yes.
Connecticut, we're a small niche.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you, we're a small niche.
Bugging
and
right
how
now.
I know this is true, because I'm thinking about an artist in my mind. I'm not going to name any names. I brought this artist onto a label, right? I was working for a label at the time. I said, bro, come on to the label with me. I think you're talented. You know what I'm saying? I'm helping him find talent. And he got involved. He took it and he ran with it. He got so involved that at points he was probably more on the ground with that label than I was, because I produce and I get out. You know what I'm saying? I find talent and I get out. But he's taking on other roles. He's doing different things. He's making records. And the label dissolved for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
Probably for financial reasons. And I remember this artist posting around social media saying, I'm looking for producers. I'm looking for music. Wow. And I'm thinking to myself, like,
he lost your contact number. You
you
change phones?
He must have lost my contact, or he must have like forgot. Like, I'm the one that literally brought you on. I actually produced his first single when I brought him on.
Yeah.
And so like the fact that he's looking for music and dropping music and doing things, and I'm thinking to myself like, yo, you didn't think to hit me. Now, just for people that think I'm just being salty. That's not the case. I'm just showing you the mindset. Was like, after like speaking with him and talking to him a little bit more, the mindset was I wanted to go beyond you. Like, I wanted to like take what the foundation you gave me and prove that I could take it to another level. Never the mindset of like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could go back and reach out to those that you started with, or reach out with and work with some of the guys that you came up with. But there's like this hero syndrome. Like, I'm going to step up. I'm going to get big. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make it, and then I'm going to try to, and then maybe
That's facts.
I'll
bro.
reach down and bring some people with me. And a lot of cities don't think like that.
Yeah, but it's because they're not as small.
They're not as small.
Yo, that is the most
You know what I'm
fire explanation because it makes sense all the way around.
Yeah. Because you can't do that in Cali. You can't do that in California. This is too big. It's too many artists, too many creatives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
okay, so but then the argument becomes because that's a place I was thinking of. Then how is it done successfully in markets like New York? But New York is way bigger than
New York is
Connecticut.
way big. There's too
Like,
many creatives.
Exactly.
And I would say for places like Atlanta and New York, opportunity is way more. Right?
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
So I'm not
yeah.
ignoring that fact.
Yeah.
Bigger names, all that moving through the streets of New York on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? The chances of your music landing on ears that can take you to another level is way more higher. But I'm just saying, one of the biggest ways in the creative space to move is to move together. Make as much noise as you possibly can, so that those who are not from Connecticut will be like, yo, what is going on over there?
So here's the, there's not been many, things that I've done in the direction of music specifically over this 12-year span, right? Like I'll be first to admit and, be transparent. Like I haven't released a first album yet. I've done just only singles here and there. But that's also because I started that first 5 years of just doing, spoken word poetry. And I'm like what you call a serial creative. So I spend times, hitting the on and off button when it comes to music because I want to do and explore the other parts of me.
Same here.
So to that point, though, I have not had, because I haven't done much music, I haven't had a ton of opportunities to say, hey, so-and-so other artists, collaborate with me. But the few things I have done, I've been extremely open to that.
Yeah.
I think for me, I could get in my head sometimes outside of just those moments, excuse me, and say that at this point, right, in my journey, because my self-confidence have also grown, I still don't mind working with other creatives. I think I'm less inclined to go out and seek maybe a Connecticut artist because of fear of that rejection.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'll, hopefully some other Connecticut artists will hear this episode and, help ease those doubts or concerns or worries. But it's like one of those things where it's like, hey, rather than have someone give me the runaround, rather than have someone,
just
ignore my text message, or that's when you're an independent artist, man, that's your baby. There's a big vulnerability there.
Yeah, no,
you're
that's
vulnerable.
That's a huge point.
So it's like I'm a little more likely to reach out to maybe that one or two just maybe Connecticut artists that I know that if I reach out to them, they're gonna respond.
As I'm thinking about it too, so my response is not a universal anecdote. I don't think I don't think that answer
is for everybody.
Everybody. There are some guys out here really trying to come together, really trying to make a move, really trying to make noise and things of that nature. But I can tell you over the last 18 years, right? We can't seem to get any consistency as a camp in Connecticut as creatives to make enough noise, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 groups and the creatives that I can say in Connecticut that have made it to bigger platforms and transformed their career as a homegrown Connecticut native are not even are more on the gospel side. They're not even on the Christian hip hop. R&B pop,
it's
none of that.
Side.
It's more on the gospel side.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen that, but I'm talking about as far as modern day hip hop, rap, R&B, pop, guys who are trying to be more on the pop culture side of creative. It's not really a lot of us that are making any noise, and it's really it goes outside of New York. I mean, outside of Connecticut, just the region. To be honest with you, in my personal opinion, but there are people who are doing some of the right things. and trying to move in a way where they're coming together. But the other component that has plagued Connecticut, has played Christian creators for a long time, is the level of professionalism. It's the level of the degree that we I feel like
sometimes are you saying like, well, at least this is where that point comes to mind for me, is we could sometimes fall into this mindset as Christian creatives that says, hey, because I believe what I'm doing is for God,
right,
that's my like wild card.
Correct.
Going into any circle or any, relationship or encounter with other creatives to kind of give me this like wild card blank pass.
Yeah.
To be subpar in my professionalism and to my, responsibleness, because hey, this is God's work.
Yeah. So we're much better though. For years that was a problem. I can't tell you the plethora of artists that come into my studio. For years that was a problem. I think technology, social media, all that thing has improved that tremendously, as far as artists sounding more professional, looking more professional, visuals are more professional. Yeah. But it is still a thing. Yeah. There are still camps where, you see the product and it was either put out prematurely or there was no expectation for it to go beyond, the small niche of friends. You know what I mean? I get that a lot. It's like the product was never meant to go outside of Connecticut. The product was meant for like the city, just the circle right here that I'm tight with. And so, I find in Connecticut that a lot of artists, I really try to get to like the goal, like what is the reason that you're doing what you're doing? And unlike many other cities, from my experience, like in New York, Atlanta, I'm saying Nashville, because I'm down there sometimes, the goal for a lot of Connecticut artists, right? So we like to put a lot of the blame on the lack of support. I'm going to talk about support in a second. We like to put a lot of blame on the lack of support.
So we're going to get to that, son.
But some of it is on the artists themselves. It's like, there's not a lot of artists with the motivation to go beyond Connecticut. And how I know you don't have any motivation to go beyond Connecticut, because your product tells me that. Like what you do with how you move and how you market and how you plug and how you create tells me.
How can you say that? Maybe they just have lack of knowledge with the promote and marketing and all that stuff.
Maybe, but I think at this point, I'm talking like today, because we're talking about this happening present day. Yeah. There's not really a lot of excuses.
There's no excuse for lack of knowledge. It's freely available.
It's freely available. You know what you need to do. But people, again, when you get to the root of why they're putting out, like there are artists who are comfortable with the support of their boys. So they'll drop a single, and the praise from maybe the church, maybe from your home church, that's
cool.
enough.
That's cool.
That's cool. That record was a success. And if that's why you did it, then that same person can't, I don't want to see that person on Facebook saying Connecticut don't support. You didn't put your record out to go any further than your local church.
So what project I did for the first time release, right? Because, we spoke about me not ever releasing a music project fully. But I did recently release my spoken word EP, which by actual EP standards, I later went back and said it actually could be considered an album. There's
enough content there.
Yeah, there's like I think 9 tracks of my spoken word. I at least for a couple weeks, kept sharing it or putting it out there. Made some nice graphics for it. I even dropped a couple videos of spoken word pieces that are on that particular EP. And you really, really, there has to be some kind of sobering thought as the creative, like me particularly, as, and then even more acutely as a Christian artist specifically, some kind of sobering thought that makes me able to go, you know what, even with me doing some of the right things, maybe not all of them, because some of those things in the way of promotion and marketing also take money, right? So you might know all the things and you might be able to do some of the free things you can do. And then there's like a limit to what you can do, right? But what you can do it.
there has to be some sobering thought that says when you do all that, this kind of Connecticut and Christian artist experience you might have might still just have you like capped right here. And that becomes your due diligence, your job to now do as much footwork outside of Connecticut to go, I got to take this here.
I mean, you should be trying to take your product.
Period. But that's becomes more
of a focus,
the obvious thing. So, and it's like, people might see, they might see the podcast that I do, the content that's out there, occasionally here and there you see some, blurb or me on your radar in some bigger platform or some bigger thing I did, whether it's the world record for the book or whether it's, getting something on the news or anything, right? There could be this idea, perception that on the outside looking in, like, yo, just for me as an independent artist, like my reality isn't yours. Like, like, Frii ain't out here grinding as hard as us to get this, it's just easy. Like he got this, he did this, and I'm like, yo, I'm reminded all the time that I have to have inner resolve and commitment to this thing that I'm doing. And I can't let whatever it is and wherever you are, the perceived lack of support, the real lack of support, be the thing that stops. So to that point, I didn't expect to do this or this, piece to come up in our episode today, but to hopefully encourage somebody. Please don't get it misconstrued. This information is not to garner sympathy. I hate it.
Right.
Me and Ro just already gave you game on the type of individuals we are. We're not yes men people. Like,
no,
if I'm trash, tell me I'm trash. If you didn't like something I do, tell me.
Exactly.
So I'm not in here for a pity party or to have all of you guys go and But I want to share this with you to hopefully you have this information in the back of your head now when you didn't see me staying consistent on social media, staying consistent with my content, with my podcast, to go, wow, this is happening behind the scenes, and even that isn't stopping this guy.
Yeah.
So I did some promo, and when I say promo, I even had a little bit of money to specifically target Connecticut. Just sift through and put around, send around the spoken word EP that I dropped. It's on my website right now. Free Speech Volume 1. Plug, because it's my show.
Got to.
Because it's my show. And you could get it for $1. Plug. Got to.
Let's go.
Did that for a couple weeks. Target Connecticut audience. Now I'm going to give you my social media reach.
Yeah.
One, I have the unique trait as a Connecticut artist, period, but as a Connecticut Christian artist, of being a verified artist on Facebook. Right? You think having a blue check, that's good for a couple sales, right? So I have about just over 6,000 followers on there. And that has organically tripled over the last couple months to that. At the beginning of last year, I had 1,800 followers only. So I have 6,000 on Facebook. I have about another 5,000 or so on Instagram. I have just over 1,000 friends on my personal Facebook. I have a couple hundred maybe on Twitter, not really up there. I have a couple hundred on TikTok, maybe a little over 100 maybe on YouTube, whatever. How many $1 sales of an entire EP project? How many $1 sales? How many people do you think of that sphere of influence purchased the EP for my Connecticut targeted campaign, promo, putting this on my personal page, all of this? How many would you estimate, ballpark? Out of over 10,000 plus
10,000?
people.
5.
5. Really? I had 2 people. See my promo, see the work
I believe it.
I've consistently done, sending this around. Hey, yo, go cop the new EP. I remember I've never dropped one. You would think people would be long awaiting, going, yo, Frii finally put a project together, yo, for $1. It's $1. Hey,
check it out. If you like maybe just one project or one,
Yeah.
spoken word piece, poetry I've done.
So that's
Two. But because I've heard in other spaces outside of Connecticut prepared me for Connecticut.
Yeah.
Peep that. My journey in other spaces outside of Connecticut have prepared me for this experience that I feel is unique to Connecticut.
Yeah.
I've had to brave the Apollo stage in New York and be booed before. I've had to brave the at this point, because I keep a tally record of these things for my journey, I've had to brave over 300-400 rejections in the acting sphere before being able to get a role on the Wu-Tang American Saga TV series, before being able to get a spot on the CBS drama God Friended Me TV show, before being able to get my first role in a feature film. I've had to brave so many no's and rejections before that when I have this, what we think is this kind of unique Connecticut Christian artist phenomenon where it's like, yo, lack of support or this, it doesn't even faze me. I am so internally resolute that, that's cool, because I have to be committed to this as an artist because I want this. Not doing this because I'm hoping if I do this, then I'll get this big, greet or welcome. And that's what, for any artist, I think you would agree, while you've like mentored, had a slew of people in your studio from time to time, like, yo, why are you doing this? I hope you're doing this for a reason that's not tethered to someone else's decision to support it.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, the support factor in Connecticut is non-existent in the sense that it's hard for you to break out of your circle. When I say circle, I'm not in reference to the inner circle we talked about before.
Yeah.
I'm talking about your circle of people that actually, they like your music. You might have a handful of guys that's like, man, I'm a fan. I like your stuff.
Yes.
Right? But that 5 fans is not going to take your creative career anywhere. So you're trying to break out of that and try to get people who don't know you to find value into this art that you've created. And we can talk about the presentation component, but I want to talk about the fact that a lot of times in Connecticut, and I don't know the origin of this, but Connecticut only want to get on after you've already been...
Somebody already validated
validated you.
Gave you the cosign.
Like, you already been on the big stage. You already been...
Killing it.
You know what I'm saying? You got
they
featured.
They saw you on BET.
They saw you on BET. You got featured somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You was on a record with Drake. Oh.
It's a rap.
Oh, word? Okay. So there's this mindset that you have to... And it's almost kind of fake when you think about it. Like, I was the same guy. I was the same guy. I was the same guy.
The price went up now.
Right. The price went up now.
You could have caught me for the low.
And
but
it's like, I can tell you, for an artist, for a producer, it's frustrating. It's even more frustrating a lot of times. This is one of the things that producers can share in the frustration with an artist, because what we see as a producer is, 2 producers make the exact same type of track, right? But one producer has a resume of making a record with such and such name. Yes. Insert any name.
Any name. Any big name.
And so now you're willing to pay $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 for a single, right?
Because you're trying to leverage
the name.
Yeah.
And so you see that go on a lot of times in Connecticut. And for those of y'all that are listening from other places, you may see this happen in where you're from as well. But it's really, to Free's point, is that you have to have a resolve in you. Like, I'm in this, I got to know why I'm in this.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to get it from conveniently from where I think it should come from. Like you would think if I drop a single in my city, everybody from that city should be like, yo, I know him. I know him. I got to support that. I know that's my man. We went to high school together. No.
Well, y'all going to make sure y'all support it now. Free Speech Volume 1 is now at therealfree.com for $1.
It don't work like that. And there was a time.
Shout out to the 2 people who copped the EP though. Hey, it'd be really dope if y'all could go tell y'all friends that it was fire. Tell them it was worth it.
Yeah. So the other thing about it was there was a time when you used to be able to say the product wasn't good enough. You used to be like, say, the reason why it didn't pop off, it was like, yo, the product, I heard the project.
Yeah.
It could have used better mixing. It wasn't right.
Yeah.
Wasn't. No, there's dudes that are putting out legit music, legit projects.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been put on by somebody or validated by somebody else, it's like, this is what I tell a lot of rappers, because I know, because we know our space and we know the people that are going to potentially watch this. You got a lot of rappers who, especially in this streaming culture that we're in right now, you're not going to sell a record. Yeah. You're not going to sell a record in the streaming culture. And so there's a lot of rappers that put products out with the intention that someone is going to actually purchase.
Yeah, buy.
There's no purchasing of buying music anymore.
Nah, it's all streams.
If that was your metrics for support, you just throw that out. Like,
trash that.
Nobody is downloading your music. Like, I mean, your auntie and your uncle may be like, hey, nephew, I got you. But it ain't going past that.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you when I get paid next week.
Right. It ain't going past that. And so that's why it's so important to have a plan. Know the reason you want to make music, because the support is not going to be there. And so now let's talk about the support that you do get, right? Here's where it gets crazy. Which
is fire, by the way. That's the caveat. Let me make sure I also not negate, because in this season, I'm being super, super expressive with my gratitude. Mm-hmm. Is that although I may have only had those two people, whatever, purchase and download the EP off the website, Free Speech Volume 1. There have been overwhelming, support from individuals in different ways that are just, they just didn't decide to support by buying the album or downloading the album. Instead, maybe they join my Patreon. And that's far worth more than a dollar purchase.
Correct.
Right? So there's that. There's people who purchase my books. So there's other ways of support. And in that respect, I am grateful for the small niche of supporters that I have. Mm-hmm. Sorry to cut you off. Didn't mean to do that. But so you have to then, you was mentioning the support that you do get.
Yeah. So a lot of times the support that you will get, and the reason why it's capped is because the support that you will get in Connecticut are other creatives, right? You have other creatives who will come out to see you at a show for the fact that they either do the same thing or they value what you do. But you're capped with that person because another creative, unlike the casual a supporter who will get a product and then rave about it, or get a product and say and feel so exclusive to the fact that they got it. Like, you ever heard like a dope record that you think nobody heard? Like, you ever had something to pull up on your Spotify like randomly? You be like, yo, have you heard this dude?
Yeah.
A lot of times a casual fan will do things like that, but a lot of times when you're working with creatives, they're in the building for a different reason. They're in the building to gauge the competition.
He said they're in the building for a different reason.
They're in the building to gauge the competition. Like, yo, what has such and such been up to? Like,
wow.
And it's not necessarily malicious. It's just curiosity. It's just curiosity. It's like, yo, what has this dude been doing lately? And is what I'm doing up to par? Is it better? Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of, and so you're capped there because the music is not gonna, or the product. I don't want to say music because you could be a poet as well. You could be a writer. You're capped there because it doesn't leave the room.
So are you saying, is it worth saying that maybe when you're that particular like artist who's really cooking, mm-hmm. your flames could be potentially acting as like a mirror to the other artists who maybe is less likely? Like it's showing them too much to a degree that I am maybe not doing what it is I needed to do. Yeah, I think it could be, that we have those artists that are in our circle or sphere of connectedness, and we see, if another artist is doing something really killing, it could kind of make you, insecure as another artist to go, dang, man, like I need to be doing that. And because now your thoughts are all fixated on that, what I need to be doing to catch up.
Yeah.
You're not able to really think about, oh man, let me show love, or let me just share that post, or let me shout this dude out, or let him know like, yo. So I've been like, if as myself, I know that that's a totally like benevolent, like it's an innocent phenomenon.
Correct.
It's like, yo, no, I saw that was great, and now I'm trying to like make sure I can do that for myself because I'm a creative. I'm not like just somebody who like, I don't know, I take out trash and then, I was seeing like, no, I'm trying to create too.
Yeah.
So for that person, I could empathize there because I've experienced that.
Yeah.
And
no,
so
it's a thing. It's not necessarily, as I said, it's not malicious. It's just you go into a situation and oftentimes you support what you do. So if I'm a rapper, I'm going to the rapper show. If I'm a poet, I'm going to the poetry show. If I'm a writer, I'm going to go see what that book is about. Right. And so a lot of times you just find yourself in like this space of like, okay, where do I match up? Where am I with mine? Am I at a level where they are? Am I, but again, the issue, not so much an issue, but what organically comes out of that is that it stays there. It doesn't take your product outside of that sphere.
Well, the other thing is that you like, because you have the voice of the individual that says too, like, hey, like why care, right? For you as the creator, right now. So one, I've gotten to the place where I've grown where I care much less.
Yeah.
One, but then on the side of the other creative or the persons who, let's say, are not learning how to create themselves and support others along the way, they could also like pose the question, why? Like, why be bothered? Like, why should I care at all? The reason I am as intentional as I can be with being a creative, but along my way, also seeing where I could also support other artists, is because I believe in that spiritual reciprocity. The sowing and reaping. Like, so now, whereas before it could have been like, no, I want to do this because, I want so-and-so to see, look at me, I support you. But then that has graduated and matured to me understanding that I receive that which I put out. Now, the caveat to that principle, that universal principle of life, is that it doesn't mean you'll actually receive from that specific place.
Principle is good, but
and I don't care.
Right.
All I care about is reaping the benefits of the principle at work, in which is I will reap what I am putting out.
Right.
I don't care where the heck I reap it. Like, would you care if you if you loaned $100 to one friend and when it came time to get it back, they came to you and was like, hey, listen, I don't have your $100, but my father gave me $100 to give you here.
Yeah.
Who would care? Right. You reaped back what you sowed. You've got it back.
Correct.
All I'm looking to do is capitalize on the universal principle.
Correct.
So if you could be another active creative in your sphere, whether you're a Connecticut artist, Christian artist, worldwide artist, wherever your space is, let that be the focus. That hey, here's the why for me of why is it beneficial to support as a creative, because me, when the day comes where I begin to reap all of what I've been sowing for 12 years, it's reaping season now.
Yeah.
Now,
for sure.
So what might look to somebody else on the outside looking through, like, dang, blessings on blessings just running on Ro. Like, he just back to back with it. Like, you don't know, Ro been sowing seeds for years. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and that speaks to consistency too. Like, you've been because one of the things that you have to understand as an artist, there is a standard for every. Not only there's a standard for taking your art to the next level, but then there's also like a standard for the type of art that you do. So I'm sure if you're a writer, there's a standard that you got to meet if you're going to put a good book out.
Yeah.
If you're a rapper, there's a standard you got to meet. You can put a good song out. And so hit those standards consistently, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge part of it for a lot of artists who, feel like, they can't, they're plateauing, they can't go anywhere. That's not a Connecticut thing. Like people with, some of the things that we have internally in the state is not just a Connecticut thing. It's just like hit these benchmarks consistently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And see if the product don't go somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And take those little wins. If you went from 5 supporters to 10, you know what I'm saying, from 10 to 15, you're not going to win the same way as some other places. And so sometimes what we do as Connecticut artists is like we look at the way other people are coming up and we'll be like, yo, we're not coming up the same way, so we must not be doing it right. But you probably are, just not at the pace of somebody else.
The pace.
So, there's a plethora of different concepts and ideas as to why a Connecticut artist is not moving. But the biggest tool to me, if I were to put a Band-Aid on this whole thing, is, you have the hero syndrome that's heavy, and then you got the support that the majority of support comes from other creatives in your space.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And as a result, it caps your reach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they're all busy creating.
They're all busy creating.
They're all trying to do the same thing you're trying to do.
to do the same thing you're trying to do.
Yeah, you gotta respect that. And lastly, I wanna before we wrap up, is really just speak to mention this last point of you, and this ties back into what we brought out at the beginning about the inner circle, right? There might be an inner circle that you keep that's in the industry or the space you create, right? You might have an inner circle of poets, an inner circle of rappers or people in music that you rely on or trust their advice or insight in that creative space. Right. So they become the go-to for that. Mm-hmm. Having those people be authentic and being able to be willing to share with you things that, to your point, are benchmarks or are standards, and that being okay for them to do without you getting in your feelings.
Correct.
There's a very G14 classified track Ro and I are working on right now, where Ro is always trying to do this thing where he's like trying to like stretch me as an artist, right? And he's one of the few people that get to see me in these more intimate settings or spaces where he knows more of my ability and capacity than most people. So he's like, hey, I know you can meet this mark, or I know you can do this, whatever the industry's doing, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll just be my typical creative self. And I'm like, this is what I do. Shoot it over to Ro, and like Ro fire back at me and go, but I want you to try this. That's great. But hey, I want you to try this, do this so I could stretch you a bit. And he uses that word stretch. When he decides to use that term stretch, I have to be willing to listen and receive that. Because those things allow me, when he, being a person who's a member of that inner space of the music or creative industry or whatever, he's aware of some benchmarks or some standards that I'm not. He's a producer. That's his job. He works with music creation. I'm not a producer. I'm in no way in the business of music creation. I don't even play an instrument. This dude plays instruments. He's into production, producing music. He's actively a part of this industry. And I wish to be, as an artist who writes rhymes, I write lyrics. I want to be a part of that industry somehow. I have to be willing to at least entertain when someone's trying to give me what's the standards, because it's twofold. You said hit the standards and then consistency.
Right.
I could have the consistency part down.
Right.
But it's like, hey, but you're just not hitting where the standards are, or this is. Right, so we have to do both.
Correct.
And I'm only able to even receive that, get to that point, because my willingness to say, hey, let's give it a go. Right. I could now, because I do this, full time now, I'm in this space, I could do the consistency part. Mm-hmm. Tell me, I go to one of those inner circle people of yours in your sphere that you trust, that you can rely on, that's to go, all right, what's the industry talking about?
Right.
So, last word I'm going to give to my man, Ro, is free food for your soul. So, on Free Lunch, he got to give us the bar to close with. What's going to be edifying for the soul, for the listener out there? This is for you. It's free lunch. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. My man, Ro, he's going to leave us with what's the one thing to take away from today for the listener?
I'll give you two pieces because we had two topics.
Yeah.
Keep your inner circle authentic. Authentic voices, right? You're not going to hear what you always want to hear, and oftentimes you will hear things that you need to hear. As a creative, if you're a creative, consistency is key. Quality is key. But leave room for those who have experience in this space, right? Leave room for those who have experience in this space. My grandmother had a saying, right? My grandmother's Jamaican. I'm gonna try to translate it. And she would say, if fish tell you sharks is having a party, believe them.
I want you to say it like Grandma would say it though. You use the Jamaican slang.
If she was saying a project, it would go something like, if fish said shark off party, believe them.
All right, now tell the people again. What does that mean again?
Right,
in your best English translation.
And what it means is, if the people that have experience are telling you, you know what I'm saying, what's to come.
Yeah.
Believe them.
They
Right? If
got
fish
experience.
is telling you about shark, you probably believe the fish.
The fish probably know what they're talking.
You probably know what they're talking about.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, that's just something to ponder, something to think about.
Yo, keep your inner circle authentic. And be open, man, to the people that might have experience in what it is and what you and the where you trying to create. The what and the where. They tell you what it is. Be humble enough to believe them. Yo, it's Freestyle Gospel, a.k.a. The Real Free. Ro Miller.
Yes, sir.
It's free food for your soul. Peace.